Chosen one, something is about to happen that you have not seen coming. It will be so specific and just the right time for where you are right now that the people who looked past you whispered that you weren't good enough and quietly cheered when things didn't go your way. Won't be able to explain it. This isn't like anything else they've done. So they won't know what to say. You weren't just brought here by chance either. It's not loud or obvious, but there is a force that moves through the lives of those who were set apart. Under the surface of everything that seems still, it moves like a current. You have been affected by that current for a longer time than you think. It's not really waiting that you see. There is no such thing as silence. The ground under your feet has been moving and you might be closer to the threshold than you think. I have something I want to say over your life before this message ends. Something that will stay with you after you leave this place. But first, I need you to tell me what brought you here. This moment is not just happening by chance. This kind of message doesn't come to people unless something inside them has been pushing them forward. You should know that what I'm about to say is just for you. If you are still here and haven't looked away, there is an offer coming from a system that has missed you over and over again, not from a person, a network, or a system. The offer that's coming your way changes the story that other people wrote about your life without your permission. It's the kind that stops people who didn't think much of you in their tracks. This is the kind of love that God saves for people who stayed true even when nothing else did. Also, I want you to know why this offer is only for you and not for someone else. That reason is important. It's the whole point of what I'm about to tell you. If you've ever felt like no one could see what God was doing in you, type 444 in the comments right now. There are signs that someone is entering a season of divine upgrade. Chosen one. I'm very careful about who I name because the people who are about to receive what I'm talking about have very clear marks on them. These are not signs of someone who is perfect. These are not signs of someone who did a great job. These are signs of someone who has been through something and come out on the other side with their soul still whole. What do I see when I look at where you are? This is the first sign. Your voice has become quieter. Not because you don't have anything to say, but because you are picky about who you talk to and what you say. You stopped explaining yourself to people who weren't going to understand. Anyway, sometime during the last season or maybe even the last year when someone is getting ready, clears throat, for something bigger, they go through a kind of internal editing. Say less, you look around more. You can tell the difference between conversations that make you feel good and ones that make you feel bad. You are also slowly and quietly protecting your energy in a way that you didn't do before. People around you sometimes think that your silence means you're pulling away. The truth is that you are becoming very dangerous in the best sense of the word. Second sign, you felt like you're being split up in a way that you didn't choose and can't fully explain. People who used to be close are no longer together. Relationships that were once very important to me have slowly faded away. Invitations that used to be exciting no longer make me feel excited. The places where you used to feel at ease now seem too small. It hurt at first. You thought about what went wrong. You played back conversations and tried to figure out when things changed. Over time though, you've been slowly coming to a different understanding. There are times when leaving is a loss. There are some people who were not made for the new version of you. Their leaving wasn't a rejection. It was in line. The fact that you felt alone during that time did not mean that something was wrong with you. It was the short-term pain of a readjusting process that is now almost finished. The third sign, there's something inside you that won't let go. Even when you tried to tell yourself it was okay to have less, something inside you pushed back. A restlessness that isn't anxiety, a hunger that isn't greed, and a knowing that tells you in the middle of the night, or when you're between tasks, that you were made for more than what you can see. The ceiling seems to be okay with the people around you. They have worked around the things that they can't do. They no longer ask the big questions. And when you watch them do that, you don't understand it. It's not arrogance to know that. That refusal to give in is not a sign of immaturity. The first design of you is trying to remind you of who you are. The fourth sign: in the past season there were short out of the blue times when something clicked, where an idea came to you fully formed. A solution showed up before the problem was fully formed. And you felt, if only for a moment, like the sharpest version of yourself that you remember having, but it faded and you couldn't get it back on demand. And the difference between what you saw and what you normally do has been one of the most frustrating things you carry. That gap isn't just there. That's proof. Proof of a capability that was meant to be fully accessible but was interrupted and is now about to be restored. The fifth sign says that you've carried a load that most people couldn't see. The weight of a calling you haven't fully taken on yet. The kind of tiredness that doesn't come from doing too much, but from being squished and unable to fully grow into the space you were made for. When other people looked at your life, they might have thought you were stuck. But what they really saw was a seed in the dark. Also, seeds don't get stuck when it's dark. Their turning into having to carry this weight is not a punishment. This is proof of how heavy what is being carried is. Not small assignments need to be compressed in this way. Only big ones do. I'm not making this up. This is not a mistake. This is not the universe going wrong. It's clear that this person has been marked for a special moment that hasn't come yet, but it will. And the timing is more important than you think. There is one current running through all of these signs. Everything in your life has been moving slowly but surely in this direction. This is important. So, let me tell you about the ground you have been walking on before we go any further. This season's ground is more than just a background. It's what the message is about. Someone who was chosen for something important has had to go through a certain time. In no way is it a punishment. From the outside it looks like failure, but from the inside it doesn't look like failure at all. Outside in the wild. That spot in between where the old version of your life has ended, but the new one hasn't fully shown up yet. You know this spot. It's possible that you are still in it. At first, it's not clear what will happen this season. What seems like a lack of movement is actually growth. What seems like a delay is actually progress. What you think is silence is actually the kind of planned quiet that comes before something loud. Being patient, wise, and able to stay strong in the face of uncertainty are not side effects of waiting. They are qualities that are being formed in you right now. That's the point. You won't be kept from your season. You are getting ready for it. The preparations are taking place on a level that goes far beyond the circumstances. There are some things that can only be put into a person when everything else is quiet. When the praise and approval stop, and when the people who used to celebrate you have moved on to celebrating someone else, and that naked picture in something very old starts to talk and you can't make what it puts inside you any other way. This is what the wild gives us. Not a nice gift, but a gift that will last. They are the things that you can't take away when everything changes. They were built in you when you had nothing to show for it. This season, the people who didn't believe in you were right about what they saw. They got it wrong about what it meant. They saw someone who looked like they were falling behind. They saw someone who looked like they were having a hard time while others moved forward. They couldn't see what God was building below the surface. Every year that went by without any fruit, they didn't notice the roots getting deeper. They didn't think that the compression would turn into strength. They didn't see the fire turning into something that can't be put out. What they saw was only part of the story. The offer that's coming will fill in the blanks in a way that they weren't expecting. God saw what they saw as stagnation as growth. What they called being behind. God called getting things in order. God called what they called silence plan. Illusion is what God called what they called it. And the person who comes out of that kind of tough season is not the same as the person who never went through it. In the end, they turn into something else. There have been questions from you this season. Questions that are hard to answer. What's taking so long? How come some people seem to move faster? Why does my potential seem so far away from what I'm experiencing now? Why do the doors I try to open stay shut, but people who don't look like they prepped? As well as you do seem to have no trouble opening doors. These are not signs of weakness. They show that the person is honest and knows they are meant for more. And the answers don't always come out loud. There are times when the answer to a question you've had for years comes to you not as an explanation but as a door. And when that door opens, you either go through it or don't. I want to tell you something now. A small group of researchers found something that changed the way I think about why so many chosen ones feel like something has been taken from them. Not just anything about the mind, about what you did naturally as a child, but that most people have just given up on forever. I want you to think about this question and come back to it. What if you've been living in a fog, not feeling like you're able to do everything you can and finding the most alive part of your mind harder and harder to reach? What if that's not who you are, but what happened to you? Scientists who study the brain, led by a doctor in New York who has done this for more than 20 years, found something that even they didn't expect. There is something surprisingly simple about how the brain was meant to work. And what gets in the way of that as we go through life. But before I tell you what they found, I want you to think about this question. It has to do with everything we are going to talk about. For those who are ready, the link to what they found is in the description and the comment that was pinned below. Stay with me for now because we need to get to the bottom of something first. The offer that is coming your way wasn't something you earned by doing a great job. It's not a reward for not having any doubts. It's not just for people who are perfect, who have never been broken, who have never fallen apart. Let me make this very clear. The offer is coming because of what you won't give up. Even though many things have tried to take it away from you, you won't let go of what you know. The knowing that this is not how your story ends, that is so strong that it's embarrassing. That knowledge is not naive hope to know that is a mark, and God doesn't put that mark on normal people. It was never a mistake that they kept trying. There was always proof. Snorts, let me now talk about what has been stopping the offer. This is the part that most people miss. What if you miss it? You could get everything that's coming your way and still not be able to hold it. Right? There is a problem that only those who were picked for something important can face. Most people think it's an obstacle, but it's not. It's not a lack of skill. It's not the connections that are wrong. That doesn't happen at a bad time, but the enemy has used all of those as cover stories to hide the real problem. Something that formed in you in the wilderness is the real problem. It had to form that way. There is a version of you that got really good at staying alive in the small space. You know, the version of you that learned how to stay strong when you were doubtful, under pressure, or just plain confused for a long time. That version of you was important. In the wild, that version kept you alive. That version was a gift. But it also taught you some things that don't help you anymore as you pass the threshold. It learned how to deal with expectations, to keep itself safe. It learned not to say too much about what it wanted. It learned to stay small so that anger couldn't get to the weakest parts of your hope. Even though it hoped for the best, it learned to be ready for the worst. It learned to be a little less noticeable, a little easier to ignore, and a little more open to the stories that other people told about it. Because fighting those stories in the wild took too much energy and didn't get very far. And that adaptation, that survival architecture is now the thing that is getting in the way the most because you can't receive the offer at the size God intended. If you are still built for survival at this point, the growth you need to make isn't mostly about doing more, working harder, or planning better moves. There is something more important at stake. Forgetting the smallness that kept you safe and letting the real size of what you were made to carry shine through again is what it means to let yourself be bigger. This is not an easy way to unlearn. People who do it don't get praised for their bravery in public. You have to stop apologizing for how big your calling is. Stop making it easier for skeptical people to brush you off and stop getting ready for the disappointment that hasn't happened yet. You have to let yourself believe without the protective hedge or qualification that holds back the hope that the offer coming is as big as you've always thought it might be. Here's a useful way to figure out where in your body this contraction is happening. Keep an eye on what happens when someone asks you about your plans. Pay attention to whether you naturally shorten your answer. Do you tell them the truth about what you think will happen? Or do you give them the version you've planned, the smaller version, the one you think they can handle without looking at you funny? There is a space between the honest version and the managed version. That space is where the offer is waiting for you. Closing that gap doesn't need to be shared with anyone. It needs something inside of you. It means being honest with yourself about what you know about yourself and not needing outside confirmation to keep that knowledge. It's not necessary for the people who didn't believe you to change their minds before you can. There's no need for them to accept the offer before it comes. That's what it needs. There is something I think you need to hear right away before I show you the full version of that offer. And before I tell you what the researchers in New York found, you weren't behind. You're not behind. Let me say that again. This time in a clear and definite way. You're not behind. The time frame you were using to judge your progress was never the right one. The people you looked up to were not in the same race as you. The speed that you thought was too slow was just the right speed to build what was being built in you. You didn't arrive late. You were sequenced, which is not the same thing as being punished. It's accuracy. The smartest people in history have always known this certain truth. Joseph knew it in the pit before he knew it in the palace. David knew it in the fields before he knew it on the throne. It was something Moses knew in the desert before he knew it on the mountain. Every great life you've ever been inspired by wasn't shaped by moments of clear victory, but by the long, quiet, unseen seasons of growth that came before them. The arrival is all that the world sees. It doesn't see the trip. It can't tell the years apart. It can't see the cost. God planned every part of it, even the parts that looked like they would fail the most. And the journey you've been on has made something ready. Under the surface of everything that seemed to be going wrong, something has been growing. A strength that isn't easily broken. A real sense of wisdom that cost a lot. A depth of character that can't be faked, rushed, or gained any faster than it takes. People who didn't believe you looked at the surface and made their own decisions. They have no idea what's below. They have no idea what is coming to the surface, but they are about to find out. It wasn't always a rejection when a door was shut. Some doors that were shut kept you safe from a version of the destination that wasn't quite ready to hold you yet. Not every time you failed, it meant you were wrong. Some of your failures were the necessary pushes that made you into someone who can handle what's coming at the rate it's coming. Not every person who left you meant you were hard to love. Some people who left didn't have the right gear for where you were going. A time of silence isn't always a sign of abandonment. During some times of silence, it was necessary to hear something that would change everything and could not be undone. If you get that right now, type Amen in the comments. Let me now talk about the mind. I will describe what it was like before, what happened to it, and what is being put back together again. Brain scientists who have studied this for decades say that when you were a child, your brain was in a state called whole brain activation. This means that both hemispheres were firing at the same time. Not sometimes, but all the time. The left and right sides work together as a single instrument. Both the analytical and the intuitive work together. Both the logical and the creative are working at the same time. Both the rational and the receptive work together in a way that made something that from the outside looked almost magical. That's why kids can learn a language in months while adults have a hard time with it for years. That's why a kid can pick up an instrument and start playing without knowing what the notes are. Because of this, a child can understand a vague idea and make sense of it through imaginative play in ways that amaze adults. Because of this, kids see the world with a sense of openness and wonder that adults grieve the loss of. It wasn't just excitement. It wasn't just being innocent. It was the state of the brain where the whole brain was working. Both hemispheres worked together and you were born with them both fully functional. Each child is what took place with it. The world wasn't made to protect it. Most of us were trained in school systems that gave more attention to one hemisphere and less attention to the other. The receptive channels were consistently closed off by performance pressure. To stay alive in a social group, you had to conform. And conformity is one of the best ways to stop whole brain flow ever. Stress is something that most adults feel all the time. It keeps the nervous system in a survival mode that doesn't work well with the brain working together. Because of this, by the time most people are adults, the automatic synchronization has been broken but not lost. It was cut off. The building is still there. The capacity is still there, but the operating state has been messed up. Most people stopped noticing that it wasn't the way it was supposed to work because it became so normal. There is no vague science behind this. The Nobel Prize-winning researcher, Dr. Roger Sperry, did groundbreaking work on split brain research that made it clear that the two hemispheres of the brain are meant to work together but can become functionally disconnected in modern life. When people lose touch with each other, they start to feel a very specific, not scary or terrible sense that the part of them that was most alive, capable, insightful, and creatively fluid is getting harder and harder to access. You know how this feels. At different times, you've used different words to talk about it. Brain fog means that you feel like you're only using a small part of your brain. It can be frustrating to try to think of something simple but fail, or to know the right thing to say but forget it before you can say it. Being creative used to be easy, but now it takes a lot of work and wears you out before it produces anything. The intuitive knowing that used to help you find your way is getting harder to hear because of all the other noise. You thought these things were your fault. You said age. You said it was stress. You said it was an inevitable part of being an adult. That's not what it is, though. It's not a small thing that something was taken from you at the neural level, because a mind that works with both hemispheres fully in sync is not just a slightly better version of a mind that doesn't. This instrument is very different from the others. Before, the answer to a problem would have come to you in 5 minutes. Now it takes an hour. The creative idea that used to come to you in an instant now needs a lot of work, which doesn't always get you the result you want. You no longer feel sure that you knew something and could trust it. Instead, you constantly second guess it, which makes everything more difficult. You're not like this. This is what you got. And the same God who called you chosen. The same source that put the calling in you before you were born did not make you to live below the level of intelligence you were given. It's not that far away, and you can get back there. This is something that New York City neurologist Dr. Daniel Barron has been studying for more than 20 years. It's not brain waves or frequency entrainment in the broad sense. It's something more specific, more targeted, and based on what scientists know about what happens in the brain when the two halves work together again. The genius switch is what his team came up with after years of clinical research. It's a targeted 8-minute sound sequence. The whole plan is to do it for 8 minutes every day. Not because it is a quick fix, but because that is exactly what the mechanism needs to start and keep hemisphere synchronization going. Nerve sync technology is the name of the thing. Dr. Sperry's Nobel Prize research is what it's built on in a way that clinical neurofeedback has never been. The application is useful and easy to get to. The technical term for what it does is to bring both hemispheres into sync by using a carefully planned sequence of sounds. When it comes to people, it starts to restore the level of brain activity that you had as a child but lost because of modern life. That's what you do. You shut your eyes 8 minutes. It works without you being aware of it. You don't have to focus on it. Meditate. Picture anything or say anything over and over. The sequence starts the synchronization process without you having to do anything over the course of days and weeks. People who have used it say it feels like a return to mental clarity they had forgotten was possible. Getting back to being creative without having to try. Once upon a time, they had a natural knowing that had become so quiet that they stopped expecting it. I want to tell you about a nurse from California who tried meditation, manifestation programs, and different audio tracks she found online. Nothing worked for a long time. She said that her life was more like something that happened to her than something she made. She had a fuzzy head. Her relationships seemed far away. She had clear moments, but they didn't last. She said that something changed 2 weeks after she started listening to the 8-minute sequence every day. Not all at once and not in a big way. Every day the fog started to lift. Before the problems were even over, the solutions started to show up. Her husband saw the change before she could say anything. She used the exact word and chanted to describe how she felt about her life. It wasn't because her outside circumstances had changed overnight. It was because she was using to make sense of them had come back online. A man from Texas has 2 kids and runs an online business. He said it felt like his brain was only getting half of its power. He changed after about 2 months, and his wife joked that his IQ had gone up by 10 to 20 points. The results of his business got better. The nights he spent with his kids changed. For the first time in years, he said it felt like his brain was working at full speed again. These are not the only ones. These pictures show what whole brain activation looks like when it is brought back to someone with a calling who has been using their mind less than it was meant to be used. Let me tell you about the deal now. Dr. Barron and his colleagues said it was a great deal at $500, which is about the same price as a professional clinical neural sync session or an in-home neurofeedback machine, which can cost up to $7 million. You can get it through his direct page for $49. You get an extra fun 10 off because you listened to the whole message and were open to what was said. On this page right now, you can get the Genius Switch for $39. It costs $39 and it comes with 4 extra tools for free. A guided image that talks about money, love, health, and happiness. A grocery list lists 10 common foods that cause brain fog and interfere with hemisphere synchronization, along with useful ways to avoid them. A classic book on abundance and attraction that most of the new techniques in this field are based on, and a printable infographic with 5 habits that will help keep the neural environment you are rebuilding safe and healthy. Everything for $39 with a full money-back guarantee and no time or number limits on how many times you can listen. You only need to listen once. You can hear it 80 times. You get your money back in full. If it doesn't do what it's supposed to, there is no process, not a question. There is no risk there. That is a warm welcome. One thing I want to make clear is that if you search for something called Genius Switch or Neural Sync on streaming services or general video sites, you will find content that uses that language. The team led by Dr. Barron has looked into what is out there. Most of those tracks don't have Neural Sync technology built in. That's what they were marked with because it stands out. It took years of clinical work to make sure that Dr. Barron's mechanism worked right. It can't be done without thinking. You can only get the actual sequence from his direct page. The link is in the message description and in the comment that was pinned below it. If you buy the Genius Switch today, Dr. Barron may give you one more audio that is meant to protect and keep what is being rebuilt in your mind. That is something your spirit will know is right for you. Forget about it. Take it if the answer is yes. In that case, the first one is fine. If this hits home for you, the link is in the description and the comment that was pinned below. Only look into something if you feel like it, because I want you to see the big picture before we end. Let me tell you what I think is going on in your life right now. The deal you're about to get is bigger than any one tool. There is a bigger story going on, and the Genius Switch is an important part of it. Taking care of a very specific part of the mind. You were born with that hasn't been working as well as it should. As for the bigger offer, that will shock those who doubted you. God has been working on it behind the scenes for years. It's everything you were meant to be, and it's finally here because you're ready to hold it. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. That offer looks like this in terms of how it works in your everyday life. It looks like doors are opening where you least expected them to, but it's not because you finally did well enough to get in, but because the season of formation is over and the season of expression has begun. People are being put in your path who are specifically matched with where you want to go, not people who are there to make you feel better about where you've been. It looks like ideas are coming to you with more clarity and confidence than the doubt that has been with you all along. It looks like the provision is showing up just as the work you've been doing behind the scenes starts to become clear to the people who can say yes. This isn't about getting things easier. All of a sudden, the lives of those who have been chosen for something important do not get easier. They get better tools for life. They gain more wisdom, better judgment, and the strength to handle things that would break someone who hadn't been through what they had. The offer doesn't make you feel better. The offer is for money. When you get the job at the level you were designed for, the people who didn't believe in you won't just be shocked. The difference between what they said would happen and what actually happened will defeat them. Someone took something that was rightfully yours. It wasn't an accident. The mind you were born with working at full brain activation. The clarity that was yours before the world got in the way. The ability for insight, creativity, and intuitive knowing that was yours as a child and is still your birthright was taken away from you at the neural level by modern life. And the God who made you didn't mean for it to stay taken. The fact that the calling in you keeps going is proof. It should have died out by now because of the doubt, the delay, and the changing of the seasons which make it so that nothing outside can confirm what you were feeling inside. It wasn't your accomplishment that it kept going. This is the mark of the person who gave it to you. And the source that kept the calling alive through all the times it tried to die is also the source that is giving you the way. Wait back to the full mind that calling was meant to work through. Type 1 get in the comments right now if you just know that's true in some way. Now I want to do something with you. There is no pause here. This turns something on. Do not go past it right now. I want you to get up from where you've been sitting in your mind all season. The person you've been waiting for. This is the version of you that has been controlling its hopes to avoid being let down again. That copy needs to stand up. Not defensively or tensely, but in a way that makes you feel like you're standing like someone does when they finally hear something they know to be true. Now picture yourself as the person who got the offer. The one that just walked in the door. The version that was using all of the mind power that you were born with. Snorts, not pulling. Being exactly who you were meant to be with access to the wisdom, insight, and neural architecture that God built into you before the world got in the way. Not pushing through resistance. Look at that person with recognition, not longing or sadness about being far away. That person is not a stranger. That's not just a dream. That's you. That's the kind of power you were born with. In that case, you have both the offer and the calling working at full capacity. The space between where you are now and where that person stands is not as big as you think it is because of everything you've been through. It's getting closer and closer. And it's not a coincidence that this message is coming to you now. Take a deep breath in. Let what you just got settle in, not as something far away, but as something close at hand, as something that is moving toward you, as surely as the morning after the longest night you have ever lived through. Let me talk about your life now. Father, I come before you on behalf of all the chosen ones who have been carrying this weight. For all those who have been faithful during the years when their faithfulness didn't produce anything visible. For all those who held on when it didn't make sense to hold on. And when all the evidence pointed to giving up, I come before you on behalf of those who kept the fire going in the wilderness when no one was looking, when no one was celebrating, and when no one believed what they believed about themselves and what was coming. Let the offer come now. Open the doors that were set up for them. Let the provision that was set up to happen right now show up. People who didn't believe them should see what was being built beneath the surface of each season they got wrong. Let them fully use the mind that was given to them again. Let the hemispheres get back in sync. Let the genius that was planted in them before they were born come back to life. Not as something new, but as something that was taken away. See the calling that has been squished together. Let the project that has been coming together over the long quiet winter months get going. Let the size of what's coming make the size of what was questioned look small. I speak for all the chosen ones who are hearing this right now. The time of being forgotten is coming to an end. Being written off is coming to an end. This is the end of the season of carrying what no one else could see. It did the job it was supposed to do. It put down things that could only be put down in that season. The job is now done. They didn't expect what's going to happen next. It's not what their analysis said would happen. People who only saw the outside of the wilderness thought it was something else. The offer comes next. The full expression of what you were made to do is now coming to you because you are ready to hold it. There won't be any doubt about where it came from. When it gets there, it came from the same place that called you before you were born. The source that tried to put out the fire all year long was the same one that kept it going. The very same source that is speaking to you through this message at this very moment in your life. You were picked. You have been picked. And what was taken from you is coming back to you. I have been picked. I'm all set. I'm the one who made it out of the wilderness with something that can't be shaken. The offer was made for me at the level I was made to carry. I am ready to receive. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. That's how it is. Just wait there for a second. Take a break. This message may have helped you understand something better during a time of confusion. If it names something you were carrying around without a name, please let your light be your yes. Without words. As you listened, if you thought of someone who has been going through their own wilderness season, someone who has been carrying something no one else can see, someone whose light has been less bright for longer than it should have been, share this with them, because showing someone the message they didn't know they needed is sometimes the most divine thing a chosen one can do for them. Right now, type "I am ready" in the comments with the confidence of someone who just got proof of something they already knew to be true. Don't forget that genius isn't a trick or a gimmick. For 8 minutes, the sound does what your brain did when you were 8 years old. If you've ever felt like you were chosen for more than what your mind could help you understand, this is how you get back to that feeling. There is a link in both the description and the comment that was pinned. You should only do it if your spirit tells you it's right. Why were you brought here by chance? What is coming for you was not put together by chance. Stay close. The next part was made just for you. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer war, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel, your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says give and heaven will open over you on this platform. Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now.